I pulled into the gravel lot just after 8. The neon Budweiser sign still flickering above the gate. Same old creak when you push through that heavy wooden door. Same cigarette smell soaked deep into the floor. Johnny behind the bar, he didn't even have to ask, just to reach beneath the counter, set 2 glasses on the glass, said, "Son, you look like you've been driving a long, long time." Said, "Yeah, I reckon I have, all the way back to mine." We used to claim that corner where the jukebox played all night. You'd lean across the table in that low and amber light, talk about the someday things we'd never have to rush, laugh until the bar closed down, drive home through morning dusk. I looked around and saw us in the faces of the young, raising up their bottles to the songs that still get sung. There's something about this old place that just holds the years inside, like the walls absorbed our voices and they never really died. Johnny slid my second one across without a word. The jukebox landed on that song, the one that still cuts hard. I left a 20 on the bar, said, "Keep the change, my friend." He said, "You come back anytime." I said, "I always do again." I walked out into the cold night air, looked up at all those stars. Some roads lead back to who you were, through truck stops, towns and bars. I sat a minute in my truck before I turned the key. That old place still knows our names. It's still the one that keeps me. That old bar still knows our names, keeps them carved into the grain. Every laugh, every story, every pour, soaked right through that cedar floor. Time may pass and faces change, but some places hold what you can't explain. And And every time I roll back into town the same, that old bar still knows our names.
I took the long way around through Miller's Creek tonight. Thought maybe a different road might set the record right. But every corner turn just showed me something new. Another piece of evidence, another thought of you. The old drive-in still standing where we watched that picture show. Your head against my shoulder in the truck cab's amber glow. I tried to keep on driving, but my foot just wouldn't stay. There's something in the blacktop here that won't let me away. Down on Elm I passed the park where we used to sit till late. The swing still hanging empty by the old iron gate. The light above the hardware store still throws that yellow cast on a stretch of sidewalk where we walked so easy in the past. Somebody painted over where you scratched our names in stone, but the outline's still there faintly if you look when you're alone. This town ain't big enough to hold the ghost of what we had, or maybe it's too small to keep me from the memories we made. Out at the water, moving on through wind and rain. The church steeple in the distance, where the whole town used to meet. I could almost hear the echo of your shoes along the street. I could have left this place 100 times, I nearly did. But I always find a reason in the life this old town gives. Maybe I ain't searching for a way to let it through. Maybe every road in this town leads back to you. Every road in this town leads back to you. Every shortcut, every back street, every view. The gas lamp on the corner, the glow of the cafe, everything here points to you, no matter how I stray. I've driven these streets so many times, I know each crack and seam. But somehow every mile still ends up in the same old dream. Every road in this town leads back to you. Every road in this town leads back to you. came in on a Tuesday, when the diner wasn't full. The waitress didn't recognize me. Years have their way of pulling. I asked for the last booth in the back beside the glass. She set a menu down and smiled and said, "Take as long as you need to last." The red vinyl's cracked a little where we used to side by side. The same sugar shaker, same old salt, same view of the outside. I could almost feel you sliding in across from where I sat, elbows on the table, hands around your coffee, just like that. We'd order eggs and toast on Sunday morning, still half asleep. Talk about the week ahead, the promises we'd keep. The window used to fog up when it was cold outside. You draw a little hard on it and laugh and try to hide. I ordered just a coffee and I stared out at the street. Watched a couple sharing pie, their booth just 3 from me. There's something about this corner of the world that holds its ground, like time itself got gentle here and slowed its pace right down. The cook still plays that old AM radio above the stove, some easy country station playing soft and warm low. I left a good tip folded underneath my coffee cup, took one last look behind me as the breakfast crowd filled up. Some things in life get sold or closed or swallowed by the years, but some things just sit patient, holding on through all the tears. And I know that when the next one slides into this booth at dawn, they'll feel what we felt sitting here. Somehow it carries on. The last booth by the window still feels like ours. In the morning light, in the late night hours, the coffee's still the same, warm kind of brown. The best little corner in this whole worn downtown. Whoever sits here next won't know our name, but they'll feel something easy, something hard to explain. The last booth by the window still feels like ours, and I reckon it always will. I don't know why I turned down that old road tonight. Maybe something in the muscle memory. Oh, reflex, oh, light. The building's different now, some kind of insurance place, but the parking lot's the same, cracked asphalt, same familiar space. I cut the engine, left the radio on low, sat there in the dark inside that longing amber glow, and the whole thing came back easy, like a tide that never left. Every dream we laid out in that place, still warm against my chest. It used to be a little studio, white walls, a crooked fan, a folding table where we spread our blueprints and our plans. You had a corkboard full of clippings, photographs and maps, places we were gonna go. No looking back, we'd stay till midnight sometimes, till the coffee pot ran cold, talking about the kind of life that takes a certain kind of bold. I wonder if those walls remember what we used to feel when everything we wanted seemed so close and almost real. Some of those dreams we lived, and some just drifted out. Some got traded in for simpler things, and some got swallowed by doubt. But sitting in that parking lot with gravel at my feet, I didn't feel the weight of loss, I felt the warmth of what we'd been. A car pulled in beside me, and a young girl checked her phone. She had that look, that restless look of someone finding home. I wanted to say something, but she wouldn't understand that some parking lots are sacred ground, where lives first got their plan. I parked outside the place where we used to dream, listen to the radio and let it carry me back to blueprints on the table, coffee rings on wood, back to all the wanting and all the understood. They changed the sign, they changed the door, they changed the name above, but they couldn't change what happened there. They couldn't move that love. I parked outside the place where we used to dream, and for a little while I lived inside it again. It was 3 in the morning on the edge of Highway 9. You were laughing at something on the radio, some song about the pine. We pulled in under those buzzing fluorescent lights, poured 2 styrofoam cups full of something dark and right. The attendant was half asleep behind his register and glass. The moths were orbiting the lamp. The night was cold and vast. We stood outside and blew the steam and watched the semis roll. That bitter, perfect coffee filling up my tired soul. We had no real destination, just the road and us and time. A half a tank of gas, a road map and a rhyme. You said some nights are made for moving and some nights are made for still. We were somewhere right between the two, out past the edge at will. I stopped at that same station last week on my way through town. Same pumps, same buzzing lights, same old cracked pavement on the ground. Poured myself a coffee from the same old glass machine, and just like that I was 27 and living the whole dream. I sat on the hood and watched the highway breathe and glow. Thought about the places that we'd been and couldn't know, about the late nights rolling through the dark on borrowed grace, about how certain smells and tastes can drag you back to place. There's nothing fancy in that cup, it's burned and cheap and thin, but it carries something nothing else can pour back into skin. It tastes like being young and reckless and alive and free. It tastes like you beside me, tastes like who I used to be. If these late night songs are pulling something up in you, some old road, some cold cup, some face you once drove through, stay a little longer, let the memory come alive, and leave us something in the comments. Tell us where you drive. That gas station coffee still tastes like those nights, like empty roads and neon and a pair of low headlights, like youth and recklessness and 2 cups in the cold, like everything that happens right before the story's told. I've had the finest coffee in the finest kind of place. I took a walk this Saturday, no reason, no real plan. Just pulled my jacket tight and started walking where the sidewalk ran. Past the flower shop where you would always slow your pace to read the little paper cards beside each vase and place. Past the hardware store where we bought paint that rainy March, that yellow you were certain of that turned into a spark. I didn't mean to go so deep into the part of town we knew, but there I was around each bend, finding pieces carved of you. The library steps where we sat reading separate books as one, the fountain in the square that used to catch the evening sun, the alley cut through where we'd race to beat the summer rain, the bench beside the bakery with the broken iron chain. Everything's so ordinary, everything's so warm, just a town on just a morning, people going on. But underneath the ordinary, underneath the plain, every stone here holds a story, every street here holds your name. I sat a while on those library steps just like before, watched a mother lift her little girl up to the door, thought about how towns are just the sum of all their days, layered up in brick and mortar, light and shade and ways. I ain't sad, that's the thing that took me most by surprise. Walking through these pieces felt like warmth behind the eyes, like the town itself was handing back a gift it kept in trust. I walked through town today and found the best of both of us. I walked through town and found pieces of us everywhere, in the door frames and the window glass, the morning autumn air, in the ordinary details of a life we built and shared. I walked through town and found pieces of us everywhere. Every town has got its layers, got its love beneath the stone, and even when you're walking through it absolutely alone, something in the familiar says you never really left. I walked through town and found us in what time has quietly kept. I took a wrong turn somewhere on that two-lane heading south, found myself on 63, an old taste in my mouth, and there it was, the Pine View, blinking pink against the black. That same old roadside motel, looking years and miles back. One letter of the sign gone dark, the V now just a shade, but the neon's still alive enough to light the gravel space. I pulled in and just sat there with my window halfway down. That buzzing light, that warm pink haze, that soft and quiet sound. We stayed in room 11 on that trip out to the coast, when the car broke down on Friday and we made the best of most. The mattress dipped, the AC hummed, the curtains didn't close all right, but we played cards till 2 a.m. and laughed into the night. You said the best adventures are the ones you didn't plan. I said you're right about most things. You smiled and dealt another hand. There's something in a roadside motel, something worn and bright, that holds a kind of honest living you can't get at altitude and height. The office light came on and an old man stepped outside. He looked at me, I nodded once, he nodded back in kind. He didn't ask a question, didn't need to, didn't pry. Some men understand a man just parked beneath the sign. I didn't check in, didn't need to, didn't stay. Just took a photograph with nothing, just stored it the old way. Eyes open, memory wide, one long and steady breath. That motel sign still glows the same, pink light on all the rest. The motel sign still glows like it did back then. That same pink neon shimmer in the wind and rain, still buzzing out a welcome on that stretch of old highway, still holding on to everyone who ever meant to stay. Some places don't need renovating, don't need changing hands. They just need to keep on glowing for the ones who understand. The motel sign still glows like it did back then. And Lord, I'm glad for that. Everybody in this county seems to know my father's name, and his father's and his mother's, and the field they used to claim. When I walk into the barber shop on 2nd and on Main, old Ray still calls me Junior, like I haven't aged a grain. He cuts my hair and tells me what was said at church last week. About the Wilson boy and where he's working, how his mama speaks. There ain't a secret in this valley. Every whisper finds a wall, and every story told here has a name that someone will recall. They remember when we danced at the Founders Day parade, how you wore that white dress in the August heat and swayed. They remember when we argued in the parking lot of church, and Doris Hale said afterward she'd never seen love hurt. They remember when you left and when I barely left the house, and when I slowly found my way back out into the routes. A small town is a memory that never stops its telling, part blessing and part burden, part love that keeps on swelling. My niece says she can't wait to leave and see the wider world. I told her, go see it all, let your story unfurl. But there's a thing that happens when you've been gone long enough. You realize that the roots you ran from are the very stuff that held you straight through all the storms you walked into alone. And a small town's kind of love is the deepest kind you've known. So I'm still here on 2nd Street, still junior, still the same, and this small town still carries us, our whole complete and honest name. If a town like this lies somewhere in the country of your chest, some main street, some old barber shop, some place you love the best, stay with us a little longer. Let these songs be where you rest. And if this feels like home to you, go on and let us know. This small town never let go of our story, keeps it polished up and passed along in all its worn down glory. Every pew and every porch and every pot of morning coffee, this small town never let go of our story. They'll still be telling it when I'm long turned to ground, at the barber shop, the diner, passed around and all around. This small town never let go of our story. And honest to God, I never wanted it to. Late October, barely midnight, not a soul out on the walk. just the leaves against the gutters and the distant sound of talk from the bar 2 blocks behind me, and the traffic light above clicking red to green to yellow with no cars to push or shove. I was walking back to where I'd parked and everything went still, that particular kind of quiet that a late October will. And just like that it came, clear as any living sound, your laugh, your real laugh, bouncing off the walls and coming down. We used to walk this street at closing time on Fridays after dark. You'd find something to laugh at in every shadow, every spark. A crooked sign, a stumbling cat, a stranger's off-key song. You could turn the plainest nothing into something to belong. I used to wonder how you did it, how you stayed so lit inside, like there was something warm behind your ribs that never died. Now I walk the same old street, and in the silence I can tell that the warmth you carried with you, it left echoes where you fell. I stopped walking for a moment, let the quiet settle in, let my coat hang open in the wind against my skin. There was nothing supernatural, no trick of ear or mind, just the way that certain streets hold voices left behind. The cobblestones remember every footstep and every fall, every whispered conversation pressed against the wall. I'm not a man for ghosts, but I'm a man who knows a fact, that the ones who laugh the loudest, those are the ones who come back. I can still hear your laugh in that empty street, in the October wind, in the cold concrete, in the space between the traffic light and the bar's last call. You're still there in the laughter, still the best of all. I don't go looking for it, it just finds me on its own, on a late night walking solo, somewhere close to home. I can still hear your laugh in that empty street, and I hope I always will. There's a set of tracks that cuts through the east end of this town. Been there since my grandfather's grandfather first laid down. Through the walnut grove and the old grain elevator shade, past the water tower with a summer faded paint, we made. I used to walk them after school with Billy Dean and Trace, arms out wide for balance and that easy summer grace. The trains don't run as often now, sometimes just once a week, but the rails still hold the heat of noon and hum beneath my feet. My father used to say the rails connect the world end to end, that every town is tied to every other town by Bend. He'd stand and watch the freight cars like he was reading something deep, like every car that passed was hauling stories that we'd keep. I think about him when I'm standing on the crossing now, his work-worn hands, his easy patience, that deliberate brow. He's been gone 8 years this winter, Lord, it still comes fresh, but the rails he loved are humming still, they hold his quiet breath. My boy walked with me last Sunday down the gravel by the ties. He was asking where the trains go. I said anywhere it tries. He spread his arms out wide, the same way I had done at 9, balanced on the rail and left his shadow long behind. Some traditions don't get spoken, they just pass through blood and bone. From a grandfather you'll never know, to a boy not fully grown. And I thought about the chain of us, the ones who'd walk these lines, how the railroad tracks keep carrying us back through all the times. Railroad tracks still carry me back in time, through the walnut grove, through the lives that were mine, through my father's steady watching and my boyhood summer days, through the simple kind of living that the tracks and rails can raise. They connect me to the before times, to the ones who went ahead. There's a hum inside the iron that you feel in chest instead. The railroad tracks still carry me back in time. Every time I walk them, every single time. I went back to the farmhouse where I lived till I was 10. New family living there now, they were kind enough to let me in. Walked the hallway where the wallpaper still carried its old rose. Stood inside the kitchen in the afternoon's last throes. The woman asked if everything was all right. Was I okay? I said, yes, ma'am, just needed a minute, if I may. She understood the way that certain women always do. She said, take your time, this house remembers. It'll take care of you. My mother used to hum while cutting biscuits at that counter there. My brother chased the dog around and she'd throw up her hands in air. My father'd come in from the field with mud still on his boots. She'd scold him at the door and kiss him, love inside the roots. I stood there in their kitchen now, a stranger in my past, and felt the warmth of all of it, like it was built to last. The walls had been repainted twice, the cabinets were new, but something in the room held on. It held right on to you. Out back the old oak tree still stood, still massive, still the same. Still bore the mark I made at 8 when I first carved my name. A little grown, a little rough, but standing patient there, like it had been keeping watch on all of us with care. People leave and people change and people move along, but a house keeps what was given it. It holds it like a song. I thanked the woman at the door and walked back to my car. Sat a moment in the driveway, looking at that old backyard. If there's a house, a room, a tree that holds your name tonight, some place that kept your story safe and carried it through time, stay here with us a little longer. These songs are for your kind, and tell us in the comments what that place was, yours and mine. Some places remember more than people do. They hold the warmth and laughter straight on through. The walls and floors and oak trees and the counters in the light, they keep the ordinary sacred, keep it right. There's a little Italian place on the west side of the square. Red check tablecloths and candles, and an old photograph up there of the founder and his family on the day they opened up, 1962, and everyone is raising up a cup. We found it on a rainy night, our second year in town, ducked in from the weather, and we never did come down. Made it ours, the corner table, back against the wall, where you could see the whole room easy, where you felt you owned it all. Marco always saved it. If he saw us walking near, he'd catch me through the window, pull the reservation clear. Bring a basket out before we'd even said a word. The same red wine, the same warm bread, the most familiar herd. We had birthdays at that table, had some hard nights at that table, had the kind of conversations that could shift a couple's fable. Had a night we almost didn't make it, nearly let it fall, and sat there afterward in silence, grateful for it all. Marco's son runs the place now. He's got his father's ease, same warm welcome at the door, same old recipes. He doesn't know my standing reservation, doesn't know the years, but he put me in the corner when I came in. Something steers the right people to the right place when the timing finds its way. I ordered slow and ate slow and let the evening play, and I felt the years of us compressed into that wooden chair. Every version of the two of us still sitting over there. That corner table still feels like home. Red wine and candlelight, and never feeling alone. Every meal a small prayer, every evening a refrain of the life we built together in the warmth and the rain. Marco's gone, but something stays inside the walls he built. In the photographs, the recipes, the texture of the quilt. That corner table still feels like home, and long as that place stands, I'm never far from home. Broadway used to feel like something, used to feel electric right. When we'd walk it Friday evenings in the October night. Pawn shop with its red guitar, neon in the glass. The laundromat, the locksmith, the bail bond at the pass. All those small town neon dreamers burning through the fog. Every color in the spectrum from the buildings and the smoke. You said once that neon light was the most honest kind of glow, because it didn't pretend to be the sun. It just put on a show. I walked it on a Wednesday, just me and the wet street. The same signs blinking open, same familiar heat. The pawn shop's still in business, same red guitar ablaze. The locksmith's got new hours now, but same neon in the haze. Some new places opened up, a few old ones were gone, but the lights that mattered most to us were mostly holding on. Like the street itself was keeping faith with everything we knew, holding its breath and waiting, holding those lights for you. I stopped outside the diner where we'd always end the night. Egg and cheese on sourdough and bad coffee made it right. The pink cursive sign above the door still spelled out Rosie's name. The old burned out a little, otherwise exactly the same. A man inside was reading something, steam rose from his cup. The counter girl was singing low while she was washing up. I didn't go in, didn't need to, had enough already there, standing in the neon glow of everything we used to share. There's a house on Maple, 3 miles from the county line. White clapboard, green shutters, the porch swing that was mine. Grandma planted those rose bushes along the front walk there. The new owners kept them, 5 Junes worth of care. That kitchen window always glowed in the late afternoon, like a lighthouse in the suburb light, a warm, familiar tune. I don't even think about it anymore, it's just a reflex now. My foot comes off the gas at Maple, and I slow down, and I slow. Christmas mornings on that porch, watching neighbors in the cold. My grandfather in his good coat, telling stories, getting old. the smell of something baking, reaching all the way outside, the whole world contained inside a house, and us all safe inside. The porch swing's still there, different color, but the shape's the same. A child's bicycle on the lawn, a chalked up hopscotch game. And I'm glad for that, I'm glad somebody feels it right and well. I'm glad a house that loved us once still has some living left to tell. My daughter asked me once why I always slow on Maple Down. I told her that was where I grew up, on the east end of this town. She pressed her face against the glass, the way that children will. Look for something worth the slowing, looked for something still. I said it doesn't look like much, just a house on just a street. She said, Daddy, then why's your voice do that? Why does it get so sweet? Kids are something, aren't they? Cut right to the bone of it. Because that house made me, and I can't ever just forget. I still slow down when I pass that old house. Just a beat, just a breath, just a quiet about. Long enough to feel it, long enough to know that the best of who I am came from that window glow. The rose bushes are blooming, and the porch swing still hangs right, and some new child is growing up inside that amber light. I still slow down when I pass that old house, and I don't think I'll ever stop. I don't think I should. These roads go back before the pavement, back to wagon wheel and dirt, before the county put the white lines down and straightened every curve. But even paved and numbered now, they know the weight of years, every soul that drove them in their hope and in their fears. I've put 100,000 miles on these particular bends, followed them to funerals and to weddings and to friends, to the hospital at midnight and to the county fair at noon, to the long drive after heartbreak underneath a bone white moon. If these roads could talk, they'd tell you things that I have kept inside about the night I drove till dawn, because I needed time to slide from the man I'd been to something slightly better, slightly more. About the trips with Dad before he couldn't travel anymore. About the summer we drove singing every song we knew by heart, windows down, not going anywhere, just driving as an art. About the quiet drives back home with everything resolved, how a road at night can hold the pieces of a life unsolved. My tires know the grooves and rises, know the bridge at Cooperton, know the way the headlights catch the fog on Route 14 at 1. Know the cattle guard at Harlow's and the dip by Merton's farm. Know the sequence of the streetlights coming into town at dark. Some people say a road is just a road, just getting you from here. But I know better. I know what a road will hold and bear. It holds your whole biography, your every turn and choice. Every road you've ever driven holds a piece of your true voice. If these roads could talk, they'd tell our whole story. Every mile of joy, every mile of glory, every mile of heartbreak and of hard-won grace, every mile that led us right back to this place. They tell it with the patience of the asphalt and the stone. Tell it in the language of the miles that made us home. If these roads could talk, they'd tell our whole story. And Lord, it'd be something. Lord, it'd be something worth the telling. Now tell us which road, which place, which line pulled something up in you tonight. Which memory felt most like mine? Leave it in the comments. Let the conversation start. We're all just travelers looking for the same old honest heart.